all the things that, divide us, we can work around it. Because the main issue here that should be in the forefront of everything is the land question, is the nationalization of the bank, is the nationalization of the minings and so forth. So those should be the key pillars that should be driving, our discourse. This should be something that make us to be focused in terms of where we want to go as South Africa. Because if we fail to do this, it's sad, to think of the impact that would happen 5 years to come. We are now from another 5 years. We have experienced 5 years. We are just surviving in terms of breathing with the pipes and stuff. But I'm sure the next 5 years, I don't think we will survive there. And it is important for us before the coming election. It pains me to see the DA, doing what they're doing. The ANC, in the other hand, they're doing what they're doing. But when you look what the ANC is doing, is not doing this for the sake of the people of South Africa, but they're doing this because they have an agenda that is hidden, that people of South Africa are not even aware. Even the people within the ANC are against that kind of an agenda that they are actually trying to implement. But unfortunately, there are no people, who are so upfront in terms of their agenda to fight for the imbalances in South Africa's economy and everything. So for me, those are the issues that, Mr. Carl, we have to actually get deep into this. Not just to have this conversation for the sake of having conversation, but it must come a point where we think of ourselves not just as president, as leaders, but have a practical meaning of what we mean by being president. Because to be a president, that will never ever be a president in the real term of a president, but you would remain a president in the imaginary sense of being a president. That will never materialize in terms of bringing the change, the direction that as an individual you have in your own right. But unfortunately, the platform or the system will not let you. So if we can come from that, come with just a simple understanding that for us to move forward, we don't need president. We need each other to be together, to have that kind of a framework of saying we want to drive South Africa where it goes. All this system, if we look from the judiciary, your NPA, your Hawks, everything, it's more of a captured system that, for me, unless we dismantle this system, there is nothing going forward that would help us, because there is no court of law that will find Cyril Ramaphosa guilty of anything. Whatever he does, he's got a leeway to do whatever he does. And until the rest of us are conscious about that, and for that reason, we forge unity out of a common goal, to liberate not just ourselves, but specifically those very institutions that should be democratic in terms of their practice, how they administer whatever service they're administering. Because unfortunately, if we're not going to do that, there's nothing in the near future, coming 5 years to come, that we would achieve or we will do without just coming to this platform to talk about these things. But eventually, there's nothing that will come out of it. It will simply be just a continuation of a talk and without action. So for me, I'm saying, let's come up with solution. And the solution is only if most of us can forge unity, can talk to each other about the importance of having this unity. Given we are going to the election, you know, in the election, you again have a situation where you find teachers who are going to be supervising the entire elections, who are more in the most part and parcel of the ANC, who for them, who we also know from the onset that it will be easy for them to rig the election because they'll be overseeing almost what's happening without the voices of the people having that oversight over what is happening within the election process. So for me, and it's why I feel that, you know, this conversation about us forming these coalitions should be like beginning now, so that it must never happen that a police station has no person who represent not just his political party but the entire political parties of South Africa that are in unison in terms of the agenda they want to achieve. Because I believe if we can go to the election.
Godfrey, can I
Yes.
request you to wind up? You've made your point. You are repeating now the same point again. It's clear what you are saying. Can you please wind up? Thanks.
Okay, no, thanks. Yeah, but the last point that I'm trying to make here is simply to say when we go to the election, it's important that um having, because you in the voting station, there's people who guard the what do you call the voters, the voting. So if we were to have that understanding that if I'm representing the EFF, if I'm representing whatever the political party that I'm representing, but still I have that kind of a courage, you know, to stand for the other political parties that don't have representative, given the fact that, you know, to have this individual in every polling station, sometimes it is a challenge, especially for those political parties that they don't have the manpower or the capacity or the muscle, you know, to deploy on all these various polling stations. So for me, those are the kind of talks that should be actually help us in terms of trying to achieve what we want to achieve. So yeah, let me drop down there. Thanks.
Thank you, Godfrey. I think the proposals that you are making are important. The sharing of resources, the practical work that needs to be done. What I like about this space is we started off on a discussion about the albatross of Phala that continues to hang like a stinking dead bird around the neck of Cyril Ramaphosa. But the logic of the situation in which we find ourselves right now takes us forward to the next step. So we are not just here to bewail that reality. It talks to us about how we as progressive left need to conduct ourselves and what practical things we need to do in terms of our ideological orientation, but also in terms of the utilization of a limited resource base if we want to succeed. Because the ultimate conclusion of this discussion also around Phala has to be that Ramaphosa has to go and that the African National Congress has to go. So the logical development of this discussion in the direction of the important issues of unity and the effective sharing of resources amongst progressive left political parties is for me a very positive development in this discussion, and indeed also a very logical one. And Godfrey, I thank you for that input, which helps us to move forward together also with the outstanding input that was done by Landless to work and move in that direction. I'm happy that Advocate Dali Mpofu has requested the mic. Dali, I know that you are extremely busy, and I know it was a challenge for you to come into the space tonight. I thank you for being here. I'm handing the mic over to you.
No, thanks, Comrade Carl, and everyone. I don't know if Tsepo is here today. Oh, there you are. Yes.
Yeah, Tsepo is here.
I see. Okay. Yes. Yeah. No. Thank you. Thank you so much. Fortunately, I'm firstly, I must apologize, Comrade Carl. Yes, indeed, I was caught up in work things that I couldn't control. Yeah. But fortunately, by the time I came in here, when Landless was making his input, he was covering most of the issues that I wanted to cover. So thanks for that input, and I think Godfrey also built on top of that platform. Look, I wanted Comrade Carl just to do exactly what you've just referred to now, to tie up the issue of Phala to where the discussion has now gone. She's linking it to the issue of progressive unity, and more particularly what I will call the 2024 moment. Right. So as far as Phala is concerned, I think that we all know, we don't have to repeat the serious nature of what it is that is being trivialized by the media and other forces, right-wing forces, of probably the biggest scandal by far in the democratic era. And sorry, somebody's not muted there. No.
I've muted him, but he keeps on unmuting. So if you keep on unmuting, unfortunately, I will have to remove you from the space. Please try to keep your mic muted. Apologies to Advocate Mpofu.
Okay.
Please proceed.
No problem. No problem. Okay. So the first, let's start then with the first of those three topics, the Phala issue itself. And I want to put it in perspective that this is, a matter of just pure criminality. Forget all these other things. As you have seen now, that people are being prosecuted for stealing the money, but which confirms that there was money there, and which confirms that there was a minimum of, I think what was estimated to about 10 million rand or so. That's the minimum. So anything between 580,000 US dollars to the estimated 4 million US dollars or even more. And it doesn't matter for the current purposes whether it was the lower or the higher amount. The crime is the mere fact of keeping foreign currency in your couch or whatever, wherever it was kept by any citizen of the country, but more so if it's the president who is the highest ranking government official. So there's no point in us trying to explain how serious this thing is. It's extremely serious. And I dare say that it's much more serious than whatever the Nkandla accusations were. Because remember, that had something to do with probably short-circuiting the PFMA, and that kind of thing, and unauthorized expenditure, which is bad in its own. But here we're talking about a series of criminal offenses by a head of state, and that's quite serious. Secondly, we're talking about something which eminent legal scholars have categorized as prima facie criminality. So that's also crucial. But I want to say this. I'm beginning to have a feeling that we are dealing with something much bigger than some dollars, sitting in a couch, inside of a couch or a mattress or whatever. And that's because of the reaction of very powerful forces in our society. because I think that is one of the things that was not expected. We've spoken about capture, but I think this is even bigger than just ordinary capture. I think there are major forces at play, probably of even outside of this country, that are busy at play here. And it puts to question what kind of person we're dealing with here. Because it's very, very rare. And again, I want to reference the Nkandla example. There you had a situation where the ruling party and parliament were found to be part of a cover-up and all that. But at least you had independent, so-called independent institutions such as the public protector, the judiciary, and so on, pulling in a different direction. And of course, the media played a very significant role. Here, what is more serious politically is the fact that for the first time, and I think very few societies can or people can achieve this, there is consensus and the clear protection of this individual by now the South African Reserve Bank, the public protector, parliament itself, the hawks, the judiciary, the media, SARS. I mean, these are all institutions which should be playing a role for the protection of the public. But somehow they've all participated in what is seen by the public as a whitewash of the scandal of Phala. And that for me is what is the most important thing, that what is to be done about that, more than whatever is going to be done about the actual money and where it came from and all the usual questions we have been asking up to now. So I think we need to elevate the debate as to what is really at play here. What are these forces? Who's in charge of this chorus of cover-up? Are people being paid? What is it? What are the forces at play? Because this is about our country. Which then takes me to the second topic about what I call the 2024 moment. And I won't repeat what Landless was saying, but I've said this before on this platform. I don't think that even ourselves as progressive forces understand the importance of the election that is coming in the next 6 months or so. It's like do or die. And I like the way Landless summarized it, that linking the removal of Cyril Ramaphosa, who's a very dangerous man, to what he calls the significant electoral decline of the ANC. I think that's a great articulation, because if we can agree on those two things, because for the removal of Ramaphosa is directly linked to the possible electoral decline of the ANC. Anyone who knows how the ANC works will tell you that the day they realize that Ramaphosa is the biggest liability, which will lead to their removal from power, it won't even take one day before they take him out, because of quite just purely from a self-interest point of view. They've done it before, and I'm sure they'll do it again. So it's a question of how the progressive forces who want to rescue this country from both Ramaphosa and the ANC can creatively find strategies to make sure that those two things are achieved in the next election or even before. And then all these other issues about land and so on are important as part of what you call the minimum program, Comrade Carl. But those things will be achieved if we manage to remove the obstacles, the two major obstacles on on the path of resolving those issues, and that is Ramaphosa and all his supporters in all these institutions, as well as the ANC itself. I think that we need to take that kind of broad approach as we did with apartheid, because we knew we had a whole lot of things we wanted to achieve in the country, but we knew that until we remove the regime itself, those things cannot even be achieved. And I think we need to adopt that tactic and be single-minded about the removal of these two entities, and on the understanding that the rest will follow, as it were. So that's for me the input, that the new input that I really wanted to make, because if we miss in 2024, quite frankly, I don't think there'll be a country left here, both in terms of the realities on the ground, but also politically speaking, there'll be nothing more to rescue. If Ramaphosa and the ANC and his ANC, particularly Ramaphosa's ANC, and all these other institutions that are hell-bent on supporting him, can be given another 5 years to destroy the fabric of this society. So that's really what I wanted to bring into the debate, Comrade Carl, and to say that we need to find ways then of articulating that message, that it's victory or death, literally, and death to not just to us, but death to South Africa itself and any hope of a progressive recovery. Which then talks to all the other issues that the other comrades have raised about progressive forces having to find each other and make sure that the resources are pooled and the numbers are aggregated, and the battle is taken directly to the enemy, not as if there's no tomorrow, because there probably is no tomorrow if we fail now. Thanks.
Thanks, Comrade Ali, and thanks for bringing to us that message, which is absolutely critical, that this is make or break. And as you quite correctly say, that there is probably going to be no tomorrow if we don't succeed in this moment, this critical moment that is coming up for the elections of 2024. And that links for me with the question that you asked earlier in your input. Who is this Ramaphosa and what does he represent? And what are the forces behind him that are working so relentlessly to keep him in power? Because that tells us what we're up against. We're up against an international imperialist project to make sure that South Africa will not be a liberated nation, to make sure that we will continue to be subjugated, to make sure that our resources will continue to be in the hands of imperialism and of the big monopoly capitalist powers, and that the majority of our people, Black and especially African, will continue to be exploited. So Ramaphosa is that project, not just a person, but a project that has been over years carefully and with great determination implemented in South Africa. And that is what we're up against. And that is why the effort that we need to make for next year is that make or break effort. And if we fail, as you quite correctly say, we may not have a country, and there may be no tomorrow. I'm very happy to see that Comrade Nosipo Makamba has joined us. Comrade, welcome, and the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, and greetings to the group. Mine was just to haven't even listened to what this is all about. I've just joined in now, so right now I'm just trying to digest everything that is being shared in the group. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. But it's great to have you on the space, and thanks for joining us. And we're looking forward to
It's a
your
pleasure.
participation and your future participation also in our space. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Um, Malacosta, I'm handing the mic to you. Malacosta, I'm trying to activate your mic. I hope it will activate now so that you can speak. Okay, your mic is activated. Please unmute your mic. You should be able to speak. Okay, it seems that Malacosta is unable to unmute the mic. We don't have further participants in the space requesting to speak, which I think is fine. Okay, I see that Tsepu Motwang has requested the mic. Tsepu, I'm giving you the opportunity to speak, and after that, I would like to ask Comrade um, um, uh, our co-moderator, Comrade Tsepu Khadima, to reactivate his mic if he's available, to come in to make his concluding remarks, and then I will wind up the space. Tsepu Mutwang, the mic is yours. Tsepu, are you able to unmute your mic and speak?
Oh, yes.
There you go.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Comrade Carl. Yeah, this Phala
Can
thing.
you perhaps try to talk a bit louder? The volume is not so great. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's the network, Comrade Carl. Thank you very much, and
No, it's fine. We can hear you now. Please.
greeting to the listeners and everyone. Yeah, this Phala thing is a problem because you can't arrest someone who stole the money, but the person that has the money is free of everything. It's really crazy, but we shall strive, and then we are.
Comrade Tepu, there's a very disturbing background noise with you, and your volume is low, so it's difficult for us to hear you. Perhaps you can move away from the background noise and try to speak louder. My apologies.
Okay, can I move and come back again?
Well, you are the last speaker, Comrade Tepu, so if you are unable to speak now, it may be difficult for us to bring you in later. Do you want to make the effort now, please? Thank you. Comrade Tepu? Okay. It seems that Comrade Tepu was having difficulties, and it was difficult to hear him. He's now fallen off the space. Comrade Tepu Khadima, if you are able to request the mic and participate in making your concluding remarks, this is the time to do so. Tepu, are you able to do so? Okay. It seems that Comrade Tepu is also not able to request the mic at this stage. So that brings us at the end of our space tonight. It is now already 24 minutes past 9, so it has been a pretty long space. I think for me, the most positive development out of this space was the logical progression that we had from a discussion about the criminality of Phala Phala to what is behind Cyril Ramaphosa, what is actually behind